In this video we're going to go over the group exercise 5-4, creating a template. In the first step we need to select the create template icon, and that's typically located under the task pull down or the task button here. Civil tools, we go down to corridor modeling. It's the first row, second last icon. Click on that. When you come into the ITL for the first time in this session of Microstation, it will always default to the mo.itl. So we're going to open up our local ITL that's associated to this project, which is located under District CAD, Design, Randolph, J2P0200. We're in Chapter 5, so we're going to go to Data 5, and there's the ITL right there. We're going to open that up. And in this ITL, we do not have a local J2P0200 folder, so we're going to create that. And just to show you that this is the J2P0200 ITL, you can kind of hover over the path here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call it J2P0200. And for this project, we're going to do pretty much all of our work in this folder. We don't really want to mess or modify anything in the MoDOT section of this ITL, but we can copy those items down, or if we just need to create something, we can do it down in this folder here. Now these templates that we're going to be creating are going to be for Road1, so I'm going to create a new folder under J2P0200 called Road1, and those templates will be stored underneath this folder. Now it says in step number 3, after we got into the Road1 folder, that the template that we're going to create is similar to a 2-lane rule typical listed on the following page, but we're going to kind of modify it slightly from what's listed on page 69. And so to continue on with this exercise, we're going to go down to step number 4, and what it wants us to do is under Road1 we're going to do a right click, new template. Okay. When you do a new template, it basically creates just a blank screen here where you can start combining or adding components of a roadway. Okay, and components basically make up the backbone or the structure of the roadway, and then you also add end conditions at the end that will basically tie those components down to ground. Next thing we want to do is we want to open up our dynamic settings, and you do that by clicking on this really small icon right here next to the pan to the left icon. And so we're going to toggle that on. We're going to set our step to 0.1 and 0.1. Again, what that will do is it will basically jump every 0.1 in the X and every 0.1 in the Y. It just helps you able to join components together in end conditions. Okay. The other thing we want to do is we want to apply affixes, so that when we put things on the right side, it'll put a prefix on the right, and then when we put things on the left side of this center line, it'll put a prefix of LT for the left items. And to show you those settings, we can go to Tools, Dynamic Settings, Tools, Options. And again, when Apply Affixes is turned on, it's going to, by default, add this to the left side or left point names and this to the right point names. And again, you could modify that however you want. If you want to put a suffix instead, you could do that. But by default, they put an LT underscore and an RT underscore. So we're going to go with that. And in step number 7, it wants us to go in the Create Template, select Components. So we're going to go up to the MoDOT section of the library, go to Components, expand that out. We're going to go to Pavement New, expand that out. We're going to go to Pavement Only, expand that out. We're going to go to Asphalt, expand that out. And what we want is we want to drag out an asphalt pavement. So it's this top item here. Now when you single click on these items, it puts it in the preview window down in the lower right hand corner. If I would double click on this item, it would make it active over here in the window, which is not a bad thing. You can do that. You just have to make sure that your new template is the active template. Okay. And so we're going to go ahead and drag out the asphalt pavement, and you'll see that it's only going to the right. But what I can do is I can right click and hit the mirror button, and now I got both sides going out there. And when you're dragging out there, you can zoom in, zoom out, and sometimes it's helpful to zoom in. You'll notice that I missed the origin point. Very simple to do an undo. Again, drag it on out and get it right on that origin point there. Okay. And so now if I would zoom out a little bit here, you'll see that I've got my pavement out there, and what a lot of people like to do is just do a fit view, and then it basically just fits the window as best it can, and it will distort the image, but the values are still valid here on the depth and stuff like that. Okay. Alright, next thing what we're going to do is we're going to add in an ag base for the shoulders, an ag base component. And to do that, we're going to go ahead and slide on over, get out of the pavement new area. We're going to go into components, shoulders, so get out of the pavement new. We're going to go to shoulders, aggregate rock base fill, aggregate rock base fill. We're going to go to aggregate base component, and this one right here, and that's going to be our shoulder. And so what we can do again is we can go ahead and drag that on out and drop it right on that shoulder point. But we got a little bit of a problem here, and we're going to discuss this here, is that the shoulder goes straight down, and it's not doing a 45-degree angle like the pavement is doing. So we'll need to fix that here in a little bit. Okay, now, one thing we forgot to do, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. I'm going to go down to my new template that we're creating. We need to name this thing, so I'm going to go ahead and hit rename, because it comes out, when it first comes out, it's called new template, but we're going to go ahead and rename it, and we're going to call this one Road 1 2-lane rule. Okay, and that's all we need to do. Just give it a better name than new template. So we're still continuing on over here. And so we're going to move on down, and we're already on step number, looks like step number 10. Now, again, we need to, in step 10, it says modify the two lower inner points, shoulder points constraints to follow the pavement wedge slope. And so what they're talking about in step 10 is basically getting rid of this vertical line here. And so there's two ways we're going to show you how to do this. The first way, we're actually going to click on this point right here and bring up the point properties. And the one that's going to be, the one we're going to modify is this horizontal distance. It's going straight down from the top point up here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to change it from a horizontal constraint to a vector constraint, vector offset. And 2 points need to define the vector, so we're going to pick this top point, and then we're going to pick this bottom point down here. And so that is a vector, and that point is currently 0.2357 off of that. And so to get it in line with that pavement wedge, all we need to do is just change this to 0, and it will fall right in line with that vector. Okay. So that's one way you can do it. Another way, let's go over to the right side. We're going to do the same thing over here, but just a slightly different option. You can actually right click on this, and you can delete the horizontal constraint. Once it's deleted, I can come back in there and I can do an add constraint, vector offset. And this time, what it's going to do is it's going to prompt you in the lower left-hand corners. It says select parent point. Again, a vector offset has two parents, so we're going to select this one. And now it's asking you to select the second parent point, and we're going to select this one here. And what it's going to do is it's going to show you how far off that point is from that vector. And again, all you have to do is type in 0 for that and hit apply, and it'll fall right in line with that pavement wedge. All right. So we fixed those two things. Let's move on down to the next step. And step 13, it says merge the pavement components. And anytime you have the same material or same component on one side versus the other of the, say, two adjoining components, what you can do is you can right click on those two components or the common line between them, and you can merge the components together. And I didn't quite get that one. Merge components. So that's all you need to do to that is just again right click on the common line between the two similar components and select merge components. Next thing we need to do is we're going to add in some ditch condition. So I'm going to do a fit view to get my view out a little bit here. And this end condition that we're going to add is under the MoDOT section, not components but end conditions. We're going to go down to ditches. We're going to slide down to ditch 1. And you can see that I double clicked on it, and when I double clicked on it, it made it active in this window. So to make the template that I'm building active, again, you just have to go down to it, double click on that, and it puts it right back in that window for you. So for ditch 1, what we're going to do is we're going to drag that on out, and we're going to snap it to the edge of shoulder. Again, I'm going to do a fit view to get my view fitted in there the best it can. And then it also wants us to insert a fill slope called fill slope combined. And so that's not a ditch, that's a fill slope, so we're going to go in there. There's that fill slope combined. It kind of has a little bit of a barn roof effect on it. And we're going to go ahead and also place it in the same location. Okay. Once you're done building a template, especially with end conditions, you want to verify that the end conditions are going to solve properly. And so we're going to go ahead and hit the test button. And you can see my backbone or my components that make up the structure of the roadway. And then I'm going to hit draw in here, and it's going to put in a fill slope. And you can see that I don't have any components. If I would have had, don't have any conflicts. If I would have had a conflict, they would have blew an error up there and said, hey, you got to check out the priorities of your end conditions. But since I don't have any errors, it's just working, and you can see that it's working the way I want it to. I want it to have a fill slope, or a ditch down through here, and then once it gets past the ditch, then it turns back into a fill slope. And if I get above the roadway, you'll see that the ditch shows up again. Right there I got a fill. Once I get down to a certain point, the ditch kicks in, and then once the ditch is in, it'll go away and go back to a fill again. Again, if that did not perform the way you want it to, you can always edit the priorities of the end condition. So once you're done with that, you can go ahead and hit close, and we have created this template that we're going to use in our corridor. And so we're going to move on to the next exercise where we create a curb and gutter template, and that one's a little bit more challenging because we don't have everything in that template is not symmetrical, but we'll talk about that in the next video.